It doesn't matter what you're after, what you're looking to become. If you don't go to the gym, it's gonna hurt you. If you go to the gym, it's gonna hurt you.
I'm okay with failing sometimes. I'm humble enough to understand that I can't be good at everything. I understand that I got to continue to work on my craft. I understand that I'm not the best at what I do right now. I understand that.
Do what you can, but not what you must. In every circumstance we face, we are constantly presented with these two choices.
Where they are on talking to that person that doesn't have a problem laying in obscurity, because you know that when you come out of the dark room, all eyes on you. We live in a culture of business, distraction and noise. And sometimes the only way something's going to change is if we disappear. Sometimes you got to delete the app. Sometimes you have to walk away.
I want to improve. That doesn't mean I don't struggle with my motivation from time to time. Doesn't mean I don't get confused or down. Of course I do, but I'm not for sale. You can't buy me. And you know this too. We see friends of ours, even guys in their 60s, and they sold their company for blah, blah, blah. And now they golf 9 days a week or whatever. You know, that's fine, but they're for sale. They were bought. You were bought. You were for sale. I'm not for sale.
Rule number 3, serve people.
Everything in your life happens for you, not to you. I'm just a huge believer in that. And so my baseball dream ended. I had an injury, probably gave me a premature end to a career that would have ended anyways in hindsight, because I played with enough great players that I kind of know there was a gap in just God-given ability level, not work ethic, but I think to be the greatest, there has to be some proclivity for it and work ethic, right? And so I kind of maxed out my limited abilities. And so when I got released, I ended up moving back home with my parents. I couldn't find a job. I was depressed. I spent about a year at my parents' house.
Your muscles are going to tear, but on the other side of that pain, there is a reward. There isn't any regret. You won't regret taking care of your body. On the other side of making those healthy decisions, there is a reward. It's the reward of discipline. It's the reward of longevity. It's the reward of influence. It's the reward of power. Do you want results? Do you want a reward? Or do you want regrets? The decision is yours. It's all hard, so choose your heart. Pain is inevitable and it is unavoidable. Pick your pain.
Sometimes you have to fall back into the dark room and focus on it. Everybody wants destiny, everybody wants. Manifestation, everybody wants. Fulfillment, everybody wants the next. Level and a relationship and a higher quality of living. But nobody wants to eliminate distractions. Nobody wants to disappear for 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, and get into a place where you can focus on.
Just broke in every way, financially, spiritually, mentally, physically. I remember my dad came home. My dad had just got sober. And my dad said to me, hey, I met this guy at a meeting. I got you a job. You get your ass down there tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Getting out of this house and getting a job. And I'm like, okay, I have a college degree. You know, I'm being picky for a year, watching Maury Povich reruns every day on TV and Jerry Springer. I go down there at 6 a.m. I walk in, I said, hey, my name's Eddie Milet. I'm here for the job. They're like, what job? I remember this vividly, right? And I'm like, I don't know. They just told me you'd know. And they go, well, we have no idea who you are and we don't know what the job is. They said, do you know who's hiring you? I said, I don't remember. And they go, well, then you need to come back. And I go to the door and I go, wait a minute. His name's Tim. They're like, there's a lot of Tims. And I go, well, I know he must be an alcoholic because he was at a meeting with my dad last night. They go, oh, drunk Tim. We know Tim, right? And where I was a place called McKinley Home for Boys. It was a group home, a campus of group homes.
Everybody's got a plan until life knocks them out because we weren't ready for the pain. And when the pain came, we did not process it. Processing pain is a skill set you've got to acquire. It's a type of currency. If you want the future, if you want next level, if you want tomorrow, if you want to manifest, if you want this thing, I don't care what it is, then you're going to have to get acquainted with pain. The pain of discipline, the pain of growth, the pain of learning, the pain of giving, the pain of forgiving. It all hurts. So pick your pain, choose your heart. Because at some juncture in life, at some corner you're going to turn, you are going to encounter pain. And you've got to process that pain well. Hear me when I say it. Pain is unavoidable. It's hard to let go of the past.
If you could just shut out every distraction. What if you could just shut up the world for just a season and focus on you? A man is rewarded in public for what he does in private. Can you unplug for just a moment and focus on you? Focus on what matters. Why are you here? What is your destiny? The reason why you don't see it, the reason why it is not manifested, the reason why you are so frustrated.
But I realize it's only going to make me more driven. It's going to teach me to do better. It's going to make me want to work a little bit harder to get exactly what I need. Maybe this is the time to say that maybe, just maybe, this is the time for me to humble myself. A lot of people are not ready to be humble. It's okay to have confidence. It's okay to believe in yourself. You're supposed to believe in yourself. But many people are not ready to be taught.
Do it now or do it later. Discipline and procrastination. A choice between a disciplined existence bearing the fruit of achievement and contentment, or procrastination, the easy life for which the future will bear no fruit, only the bare branches of mediocrity. The rewards of a disciplined life are great, but they're often delayed until some time in the future. The rewards for the lack of discipline are immediate, but they are minor in comparison to the immeasurable rewards of consistent self-discipline. An immediate reward for lack of discipline is a fun day at the beach. A future reward of discipline is owning the beach. For most, we choose today's pleasure rather than tomorrow's fortune.
But failure is how we learn. Failure is how we grow. Failure doesn't make you weak. Failure teaches you. It gives you an understanding that you got to continue to work. And you got to continue to thrive on it. And walk in it. And run in it. And roll in it. Whatever it is you got to do, as long as you're proceeding to go forward, moving in it, getting where you need to be in your life, not feel accomplished. We're not here to feel anything. We're here to go through it. We're here to learn from it. And sometimes you got to fail. That's how you will succeed. Wanting is always something that is going through our minds. You hear it all the time. I want. I want. I want.
So how can you get rid of the easy distractions? How can you keep your mind on what you're trying to do? How can you keep an attitude of doing it all and doing it now? How can you make the choice of discipline over procrastination? How can you stay focused on your ambitions? How can you avoid conversations at the water cooler? You can keep your focus on your work. You can get it done today instead of tomorrow. You've got to really work on your consistent self-discipline on a daily basis, or you'll find yourself distracted. Distracted by negative thoughts, distracted by negative people, distracted by water cooler chatter, and pretty soon, depending on the type of people you've associated with, distracted by your doubts within yourself. Never underestimate the power of influence and associations, and never underestimate the power of your own consistent self-discipline.
You have not been willing to forsake all that you've been called to forsake, and to follow through behind closed doors. So you can talk about it, sure. You can't plan it, sure. You can write it down, sure. You could go to the conference and hear about it. You could read about it, but at some juncture you have to disappear and put the work in and come back in shock. Everybody that doubted you, I'm talking to that man, that woman, that boy, that girl who feels the fire in their belly.
Probably one of the most frustrating experiences in life is looking for an above-average job with above-average pay without becoming an above-average person. It's called frustration.
Whenever people fail to achieve their goals 99.9% of the time, you ask them why, they'll tell you it's because of a lack of resources. That's what all these things are. I didn't have the support, right? I didn't have the money, we didn't have the time, we didn't have this, we didn't have that. There's a resource that people believe is missing. And that resource belief structure then keeps people from ever being able to really lead. Because what leaders do is they find a way to maximize whatever resources they have, as little as they may be, and they don't believe in limited resources. What are the emotions that make all this possible? What's the fuel that takes an idea from being in your head where you intellectually know what to do? How many have had an idea, for example, was a great idea, you're excited about it, and then you didn't do anything. One day, there you saw it on the shelf, you saw it somewhere else, someone stole your idea. How many have had this happen? Say aye.
Whenever you look at where you want to go, I'm wanting to warn you, you will have some conversation back here after you go through the data that you've experienced in life saying you can't do it. And so what you want to begin to do is ignore that inner conversation. Well, most people, ladies and gentlemen, when something happens to them, what they do is they begin to believe that that's the way it is. That's the way it's always been. And they can't see the possibility of it being any different.
What are you feeding on? Pay attention to what you're putting in your spirit. You're called to be an eagle, but sometimes we're acting like a chicken. Do you know a chicken will eat its own waste? A chicken feeds off of what's been discarded, off of what's supposed to be trash. Maybe that's why a chicken has wings, but it can't really fly. It holds on to what it should have released. You need to view the negative things in your life as waste. You're not supposed to feed on it. It's over. You've been through it. You've eliminated it. Now move on. Don't go back to what you've released. If you're always feeding off of what's been discarded, reliving old hurts, thinking about what you've lost, that's going to keep you from flying.
And I'm saying that if you know anybody that had some goal, some dream, something they wanted to do, and they did it, then I'm saying that you know in your heart that if someone has done it, then you can do it. It's possible. And that if someone can make their dream become a reality, that it's possible that you can make your dream become reality. And so as you begin to look at where you want to go, beginning to embrace that, it's possible. I'm blessed and highly favored. I've got a lot going for me. I got some good stuff in me. And it's possible that I can bring my greatness out here in the universe. That I can do what I want to do. It's possible I can write my own book. I can have my own business. I can take the trip and travel around the world. It's possible. I can bounce back from adversity and reinvent my life. It's possible. Regardless of where I am, the things can get better for me. It's possible.
What direction is your attitude taking you? In your marriage, in your relationships? Are you kind, respectful, fun to be around? In your career, are you positive, being your best, helping others? Or do you need to make an adjustment? Don't wait till it's too late, till the relationship comes to an end, till the company says they don't need you anymore. Make the changes now. Get rid of anything you know that's holding you back. Being negative, finding fault, that old attitude doesn't smell good. It's going to taint you everywhere you go. This couple moved into a new neighborhood. One morning while they were eating breakfast, the lady looked out the window and saw her neighbor hanging the wash on the line to dry. And she noticed the wash was so dirty and so dingy. She said to her husband, "That neighbor doesn't know how to wash. The clothes aren't clean. She must not even use detergent." Week after week, she looked out this window and saw the clothes and made the same comments about how dirty the laundry was. One morning, she looked out the window and the clothes were as clean and bright as could be. She couldn't believe it. She called her husband in, said, "Look, she finally learned how to wash. I wonder what happened." The husband smiled and said, "Honey, I got up early this morning and cleaned our windows." The problem wasn't that the neighbor's laundry was so dirty. The problem was the window the lady was looking out was not clean. Many times, how dirty our neighbor's clothes are depends on how clean our window is. The scripture says, "To the pure, all things are pure." And if you're always finding fault, complaining about the traffic, critical of your spouse, may I suggest your window is dirty? The problem is not external, it's internal. you're looking through a tainted filter. At some point, we have to look in the mirror and say, maybe I'm the one that needs to change. Maybe I've developed a habit of seeing what's wrong rather than what's right. Maybe I've trained myself to be negative, disrespectful, hard to get along with. That's why it's so important every morning to put on this fresh, new attitude. I'm excited about this day. I don't have to go to work. I get to go to work. I'm grateful for this job. I'm not focusing on what's wrong. Lord, I want to thank you for what's right in my life. You know what you're doing? You're cleaning your windows.
Now, think of this for a moment. You and I have infinite potential. Now, I said before, I don't know how much infinite is. I just know it's a lot. Has no beginning and no end. That's the potential we've got. We've got all of this power, yet if you watch the way most people live, you would think that they were just about out of juice. A lot of people, when their heart stops beating, it's going to be a formality. I mean, they just sort of sit. They never really get it going. Yet we have infinite potential. We're dealing with something pretty big. If we're going to find out something about ourselves, we have to look at this. You say, this is over my head. No, it's not. I teach this to kids. I got it. This all tied into the science of getting rich. Rich resources are lying dormant within us. You and I are spiritual beings. There's only two sources of reference to go to find out anything about ourselves. One's science and the other's theology. You'll hear people say they're having a spiritual experience. They're not having a spiritual experience. They are spiritual. They're having a physical experience. We're spiritual beings living in physical bodies, and we've been gifted with an intellect. Most people really don't understand that part. But that's where the power lies. All right? And our emotional state is going to be determined by how we use our intellectual factors. Andrew Carnegie told Napoleon Hill, he said, any idea that's held in the mind, that's emphasized, that's either feared or revered, will begin at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and appropriate physical form that's available. You see, Dr. J.B. Ryan said the mind is the greatest power in all of creation. Very few people understand it. If you go on our website, you just go to bobproctor.com, you'll see a quote there by Dr. John Mike, a psychiatrist from Florida. He said, I taught him more about the mind in 1 year than he'd learned in 4 years of medical school, 5 years of psychiatric training. And what I taught him was just what a Dr. Roeder taught me. I was always amazed by that. I thought, what do they teach you in medical school? You know, and what we're doing is getting in at the non-physical side of ourselves, and that's where all the power lies. It's a beautiful concept as we start to understand it. What do we need? We need understanding. You really want to change your income, you've got to change your understanding. Now, there's only two things you have to know to really make things happen big in your life. Number one, you have to know where you are, and number two, you have to know where you're going. Now, you see, most programs get you focused on where you're going. That's very important that we have a goal. You've got to know where you're going. But what happened to me that was totally different is Ray Stanford got me to focus first on where I was. He got me to look at what I was doing with my life, got me to take responsibility. He said, your results aren't bad and they're not good, they're just results. Nothing's bad or good except our thinking makes it so. He said, you have to ask yourself, are those the results you want? And I said, no. Well, he said, if you will pay attention and you'll do what I suggest, I can show you how to change it. You see? And my whole life started to change. Most people get us focused on the goal. If we don't know where we're at, we're not going to... Let's suppose we all bail out of a plane and safely land somewhere on the planet. Our objective is to get to this room. Now, we know where this theater is. We know where this room is. Our problem is we don't know where we are. Now, let's say it's overcast. We'll build a ridiculous situation. It's overcast. There's no street signs. There's no wind. There's no compass. There's no map. There's no people. But we know we're on the north. I mean, we could be in Milwaukee heading towards the Canadian border. We could be in Los Angeles heading towards Tijuana. You could be in Atlanta heading towards Miami. We could be right outside this theater and walk away from it. If we don't know where we are, it won't matter where you're going. So you see, we've got to take a good, honest look at ourselves. What am I doing? What works? What doesn't? Who am I? And as we really get a grip on this, everything in our world will begin to change. You see, what we're seeking always is greater awareness. We're always wanting to raise our level of awareness because our results are an expression of our level of awareness. And the only way to improve results is to increase our level of awareness. All right? Now, effective goals inspire us to move to increasingly higher levels of awareness. Now, here, yes, what you'll find that people say they want. They want greater health, happiness, peace of mind. All these results are the result of a higher level of awareness. So it's awareness that we should be seeking. We want to raise this and everything else starts to happen. It happens like unadulterated magic. That's what happened to me and I couldn't understand it. Now there's a basic law that said everything in life is either growing or dying. It's either create or disintegrate. So you're never going to stay where you are. Your results are going to get better or they're going to get worse. It's create or disintegrate. No one stays where they are. Now, the truth is, I think most people get a little better and a little worse, a little better and a little worse. When they get a little better, they're forcing it, but force negates. You see, there's something inside of you that's urging you to grow. This is the spiritual side of our personality. It's the essence of our being, and spirit's always for expansion and fuller expression. There's something in you that wants you to grow. If you run, you want to run faster. If you jump, you want to jump higher. If you sell, you want to sell more. This is good. It causes dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction is a creative state. My grandmother pretty well raised me, and she taught me that I should be satisfied with what I've got. Grandma was wrong. I should be happy with what I've got, but never satisfied. It's dissatisfaction that gave us the incandescent light. It's dissatisfaction that gave us air travel. It's dissatisfaction that gave us the internet. All those things were always here. People just became aware of them. Way to fly an airplane was always here. We can go all over the world now. We're not a long ways from anywhere. We're only a short period of time away. Well, there's something inside wanting us to grow. There's something else that's trying to stop us. And that's the old paradigm. Now, you've got the one side that wants you to grow and the other side that doesn't want you to grow. The old paradigm does not want you to grow. Anyone that has smoked and quit smoking, I used to smoke. I quit years ago. But I remember it wasn't an easy thing to do. It was not. Why? Because it was a habit. Habits are not easy to get rid of. Habits are ideas that are fixed in here that control us. Many of you have gone on diets. You want to lose weight. I'll just toss something in for your benefit. When you lose something, you're programmed to do what? To look for it. Get rid of the idea of losing weight. Release it. Release it. See yourself at your perfect weight, looking good and feeling great. Your whole life is controlled by images. Get the image of the body that you want to live in, of the world you want. Quit trying to lose weight. Just release it and see yourself the way you want to be.
What do successful people do that's different from other people?
Success leaves clues. If someone has done very well financially for decade after decade, they're not lucky. They're doing something different. If someone is fit and healthy and they've managed it for 20 years, they're lucky. They got a great relationship. They're not lucky.
One of the things that we find is that successful people, all of them, are very action-oriented. In other words, if they get an idea, they move quickly on it. If they learn something new, they try it out. Now people say, well, what if it doesn't work? Well, if it doesn't work, find out quickly. There's a rule, just try quickly and fail fast.
If somebody's wealthy and happy, you gotta listen. For things to change for you, you've got to change. Otherwise, it isn't gonna change.
Resources are interesting, but the ultimate resources are the feelings of emotion that make you resourceful. Resourcefulness is the ultimate resource.
The wonderful thing is that you can't lose by trying something new. So if you were to take successful people, and there's many studies that have been done on this, if you could only look at them through a window and look at a group of people, look through the window, you could tell who the successful people are because they're always in motion. They're always trying more things. They're always active. Unsuccessful people are always waiting for everything to be just right. It's like waiting for a bus on a street where no buses go. They're still waiting. Where the bus? The bus never comes. Successful people are always taking action. So if all you do is just take more action, just get busier, you'll be more successful.
It's possible to do much better at the marketplace if you go to work primarily on yourself. Learning to work primarily on yourself. How do you develop an above average income? And the answer is become an above average person. Develop an above average handshake. Some people want to be successful. They don't even work on their handshake. As easy as that would be to start on. They let it slide. They don't understand. Develop an above-average smile. Develop an above-average excitement. Develop an above-average interest in other people. Develop an above-average intensity to win. See, that'll change everything.
When you have a dream, and the dream isn't something you dream and then it happens, the dream is something you never knew was going to come into your life. Dreams always come from behind you, not right between your eyes. It sneaks up on you. But when you have a dream, it doesn't often come at you screaming in your face, this is who you are, this is what you must be for the rest of your life. Sometimes a dream almost whispers. And I've always said to my kids, the hardest thing to listen to, your instincts, your human personal intuition, always whispers, it never shouts. Very hard to hear. So you have to, every day of your lives, be ready to hear what whispers in your ear. It very rarely shouts.
There is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that's less than the one you're capable of living.
I feel so strongly But the reason I'm here is I dream big dreams. I dream the kind of dreams that other people said would not be possible. And anyone in this country, if you dream big and surround yourself with great people and leave your ego at the door and share success with others and have a little luck along the way, you can do anything. But there will be people along the way who will say to you, no, you're dreaming too big. It's not possible. Those things just can't happen. Don't allow anyone to tell you that what you are dreaming is not possible. It is possible. Don't be one of those people 20 years from now are going to be walking around in a 9-to-5 job, miserable and angry and bitter.
The people who dream and those people who dream big have a different kind of life than the people who don't dream.
If you do not do what you're doing right now well, your goal is just going to be a fancy desire, isn't it?
Whether it's fear or anxiety, whatever it may be, I believe that every single person who's going out to chase their dreams has those voices in their head. I think it's part of the human experience.
Stay strong, have faith, keep pushing through. I've said this before, and I'm living proof of it, is that on the other side of your struggle is something good. On your other side of your struggle is something better. On the other side of your struggle is some sort of success.
So I'm here to tell you today that you can have anything you want, be anyone you want, but you're gonna have to work.
See, dreams, aspirations, they're not easily attained. But one of the hardest things to do is to keep going, is to keep chasing.
You don't realize your dreams are so important because your DNA, who you are as a person, is wrapped up in your dreams.
Go after this thing called life. Don't look back and have regrets. Understand that you're at a place and a position right now when hard work and valuing people, nothing can stop you, I promise you.
We all have things that we're believing for, dreams that we want to accomplish, problems we're hoping will turn around. Maybe it's to see our family restored, to lose some weight, to break an addiction, to start our own business. But sometimes as it goes on, month after month, even year after year, we don't see anything changing. It's easy to get discouraged and think, this is never going to happen. This is as good as it gets. I'll just learn to live with it. We all go through disappointments, setbacks, loss. Pain is a part of life. It's easy to get discouraged, even bitter. Think, why is this happening to me? Sometimes we look at pieces in our lives that don't make sense. The key is what we do in our times of pain. Pain will change us. Heartache, loss, disappointments, they don't leave us the same. Every painful time, even though you don't like it, it's developing something in you that can only be developed in the tough times. Eventually, that will pass. You'll get through it, but you will be different. In those tough times, when you're uncomfortable, going through a loss, dealing with an illness, you could easily let it overwhelm you. Now, how the pain changes you is up to you. You can come out bitter, or you can come out better. You can come out defeated, giving up on your dreams, or you can come out with a new passion, a new fire, excited about the new opportunities in front of you. I may not like it, but I'm not a whiner. I'm a warrior. I know I can handle this. Don't complain about the pain. Without the pain, we couldn't reach the fullness of our destinies. Sometimes we bring pain on ourselves. We make poor choices, get in a relationship we know is not good, or maybe get over our head in our spending. Now it's painful. We're having to deal with the consequences.
Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship.
So take advantage of today. Take advantage of tomorrow. Take advantage of every opportunity that you have to do what you want in life.
It's time to ignite the dream. It's time for you to stop settling for just money and really open your game up.
Dreams require sacrifices. Like, my city's expensive. Move. My car payments are high. Sell your car and take the bus. This is dreams we're talking about. We're talking about dreams.
All of us experience pain. My challenge, don't just go through it, grow through it. That difficulty is an opportunity to get stronger, to develop character, to gain new confidence. Anybody can give up. Anybody can let it overwhelm you. But you know what that's doing? Wasting your pain. That pain is not there to stop you. It's there to prepare you, to increase you, to develop you. Difficulties are a part of life. Now quit telling yourself you can't take it. You're not weak. You are well able. Eventually the pain will pass. You'll give birth to new strength. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. And there will always be forces trying to convince us to settle where we are. Life has a way of pushing our dreams down. They can become buried under discouragement, buried under past mistakes. There are dreams buried under divorce, buried under low self-esteem. It's easy to settle for mediocrity even though we have all this potential buried on the inside. What are you remembering? The hurt, the pain, what didn't work out? Turn it around and remember your dream. Have you allowed any dreams to get buried in you? At one time, you believed you could do something great. You believed you could lead the company in sales. You believed you could break that addiction. It's been a long time. Had some bad breaks. It wasn't all your fault. You could easily settle where you are. Nobody would fault you. The enemy would love to deceive you into burying your dream, thinking that it's never going to work out. Don't believe those lies. It's not too late to become all that you were created to be. Every time you remember your dream, you're removing some dirt. You're digging it back out. The true mark of a champion is even though some dirt gets thrown on your dream, instead of letting it get buried, you keep shaking it off. You keep moving forward.
You've got to figure out what it is that actually makes you feel alive. And if you understand that the game that you're playing is actually a game of brain chemistry and that nothing else matters, there's no objective truth, there's no one path to glory, there's no one life for you to live. There's only the subjective truth, the thing inside you, that gut instinct, that voice that whispers to you. You've got to learn to trust that. You've got to learn to trust it by building it up. You've got to learn to trust it by taking actions and gut checking yourself and asking, is that me? Is that who I want to be? Or is that somebody else, cultural voice, my parents, my lover, whatever, trying to speak through me? And as Harley Davidson said, when writing the story of your life, don't let anyone else hold the pen.
When I was going through Ranger School, we had to do a lot of spot checks. A spot check is basically, we don't have time to get all your gear laid out to make sure you have all your shit.
Just because there's a very large number of ways to interpret the world doesn't mean there's a very large number of productive, meaningful, and sustainable ways to interpret the world.
It's just the representative they're putting out there. It's not who they really are. And it's not something that you need to be aware of because it's not something you can control.
People who you thought will help you won't be there for you. Where's your feeling of being empowered, having the capacity to create now? That's going to happen to you in life. And I say that what's necessary is that you stand courageously, daringly, that you become bold. In spite of this, I'm not giving up on my dream. I want the guy who's struggling. I want the guy that failed and can still get back up again. Your problem is your pain has identified you. Your pain has weakened you. And some of you, as long as it's a perfect day, you operate in excellence.
So a spot check is maybe they'll check out 2 items. Maybe making sure you have your extra batteries, extra ammo, whatever it may be. The whole idea of a spot check is to make sure that you're staying squared away, because you don't know what kind of item they're going to check on. So how does that apply to your life? This is how it applies. You want to make sure you spot check yourself, make sure you stay dialed in at all times. It's also important to check your spot check your boys, your girls. Make sure that they're staying hard. Call them up in the middle of the night. Give them a call and say, hey, tomorrow at 8 o'clock, make sure they're staying dialed in. We have 2 voices in our mind. I've heard them. I hear them now. And they're real.
The thing that's so interesting about the day is like a page in a book. I had one client who was spending about 45 minutes a night fighting with his young son about when to go to bed. And so, you know, they weren't having a pleasant time of it because it was just a constant battle. And that's common. Like, it's very common for parents of young children to be locked in a battle that occurs day after day. Sometimes it's around eating, sometimes it's toilet training, sometimes it's general behavioral issues, sometimes it's bedtime. It's like, okay, 40 minutes a day. So that's 280 minutes a week. So that's, let's say, 5 hours. It's 20 hours a month. It's 240 hours in a year. That's 6 work weeks. That's a month and a half. You're spending a month and a half of work weeks doing nothing but fighting with your son. Don't fool yourself. No. Anything that's every day is a significant percentage of your life.
There's that one voice. It's okay. It's that calming voice. You want to be hugged and nurtured and all that shit that says it's going to be okay. That wakes you up in the middle of the night. It's not your girlfriend. It's not your boyfriend. You haven't put enough time in. It's that voice you want to run away from. But guess what? Stay hard. Listen to the whisper. So years ago, my mentality is this. If you're scared of something, learn about it.
You're awake, let's say, 16 hours. 5 of those hours are basically maintenance. So you got about 11. And then 7 of those are work. So now you're down to 4. And so if you're spending 15 minutes a day doing something painful and stupid and you do it every day, it's like 10% of your productive life. Because people think backwards. They think, well, I have a vacation coming up and that's really important. It's like, no, it's not. You're only going to do it once. It's not that important. Yeah. How you treat each other at lunchtime, if you eat together every day, that's your life. Fix that. Get it so that the food's good. Get it so that you're happy with the people that are sitting there. Fix that. It's like, poof, 10% of your life is fixed.
The purpose is to align ourselves to really make a change. So you can either be the conversation about making change, or you can be a part of the action to do it. I want to be a part of the action. I don't want to be you or beat you.
As soon as the circumstances change, you quit, you give up. So what makes ET different than everybody else? Every year, I just kept going. And I kept going and I kept going. I kept saying, one day gonna be my day. You know what I'm not gonna do? I'm not gonna quit in the process. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna give in. Don't let life change your name. Don't let it change your name. Don't you be nasty just cause they're nasty. Don't you be hateful just cause they're hateful.
The more you can begin to delineate in life between things I can control and I cannot control would be to the extent that you're more productive and you're happier. You can control your own thoughts, your own emotions, your own identity, and your own patterns, not other people's. So speaking of these payoffs we talked about earlier, how can you begin to get the payoff you want from the new empowering pattern? And so a couple questions I want you to ask yourself today, because we do want more bliss. Since that's my word, I'm assuming you want more bliss after you've heard all the synonyms, and I know you want the antithesis to misery. So assuming you want more bliss in your life, decide to have it and take some actions towards getting it. So let me ask you a question. What are you doing currently to create more bliss in your life? What are the actions you're taking to give yourself more bliss? You are intentionally seeking more bliss.
Don't you be vengeful just because they're vengeful. Don't lose yourself in your situation. Don't let your situation eat up yourself. Learn to be your own booster. When I started trying to convince myself I can be a businessman, after flopping and failing and losing thousands of dollars, and feeling stupid and dumb and having people take advantage of me, because of what I didn't know, I had to talk to myself, because people were saying to me that I was dumb, and somewhere in the back of my mind, I was saying, you're right, look at what I've done. I had to say no, 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 no less. Hey, come on, man. Get yourself together.
Because bliss is going to lead to more wealth, more abundance, more fitness, more faith, better relationships, more happiness, more peace, more wins, more success, more recognition, more significance. So what are you consciously doing now that you've chosen bliss? What is the consistent action you're taking to create more in your life? What are you doing to give yourself bliss? Is it acknowledging victories you have? Is it giving gifts to other people of your belief and your hope? Is it lifting other people up? Is it taking a bath, getting a massage, taking a walk, going for a workout, winning, achieving, knocking goals off your list? What are the things you're doing to create bliss in your own life, number one? Number two question I have for you. What are you doing to intentionally create bliss in the lives of the people that you care about? Because this is the pathway to getting more of it ourselves. The more we begin to give other people bliss, the more we begin to consciously make choices that give bliss to other people in their lives.
Where you figured out why you wanted it, You started assigning meaning and purpose. I'm doing this to save my mom and my sister, whatever the case may be. But you're assigning something to it that is deeply personal, that really makes sense with that thing. And now when an unforeseen obstacle comes your way, you know why you're fighting for this. And you will push through that boredom because it's something that you know on balance you love anyway, and you're fighting for something that matters to you. When you get that magical cocktail, as Friedrich Nietzsche said, a man with a strong enough why can endure any how. So you need that strong why to keep you focused, to ignore all the other obstacles and opportunities, to really go after that thing and to have tested. You've tried a lot of things. You did not prematurely optimize. So I know that this one is good for me. I know that I'm not, because a lot of people, they end up they like the beginning. And so in the beginning,
to get that understanding, to understand that right now is the time for you to be better than you was yesterday and not hold on to the things that you cannot control. So if you are living today, then do something good, keep that faith, keep hoping, and stop turning your back on the best things in your life, because there are some good things that are happening right now for you. You're breathing, you're alive, you're doing things right now, you're walking the walk right now. This is not the time to quit. This is not the time to give up. This is not the time to stop. How many times have you said, I know I need to do better, but you don't? How many times have you got on a scale and weighed yourself, but you wasn't happy? How many times have you pulled up those pans and it just didn't fit right? How many times have you said you could not stop eating a certain type of food, but you kept doing it anyway? You see, my friends, that's an excuse. You're looking for a way out.
I know why I'm here. I'm ready to fight. This is good. And then as time wears on, laziness kicks in. They like distraction. Maybe they have ADHD. They want the next dopamine hit. They pick up their phone and suddenly they think it's, oh, well, this, Tom said to only do the one that gives me more energy. This doesn't give me enough energy. I'm going to go try something else. I would say once you've done the early exploration, of 15, 20 different things and found some that give you more energy than they take, then if more than 3 times you find yourself starting only to stop and want to start over again, that is, you're lacking grit. Angela Duckworth has a book called Grit where she addresses this, but basically you have to at some point draw a line in the sand and say, look, I know that in the early phases of this, I loved it. Now I just need to push through the boring stuff by knowing why I'm doing this and having a desire to progress in my life, which is incredibly important. And I'm going to do that by gaining mastery in the skills that I would need